Okay. So actually, I have started the recording. The problem that happened yesterday was that even though the recording was recorded properly, at the end of session, it asks me to convert it. So I clicked on convert, and after the conversion finished, neither the original recording nor the converted file was there. It just disappeared, and I have written to GoToMeeting people, and I'm still wondering what happened. Similar to the last time, it had just disappeared, and I'm actually, you know, it is very devastating for me. So that's why yesterday's recording we did not have. I have just shared the recordings of my previous session. Okay, but yesterday's recordings have not been. I could not find anywhere in the folder. It was recorded. It was there. It asked me for converting, but then it just disappeared. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what exactly happened. Hi, so I think it's a good time to start, and probably others will join in quite soon. And we are already 6 minutes past 1:30, and today is the last session, right? So today we might take a bit of 10-15 minutes more today in case required. Okay, is that all right with everyone? Sanjeev Mohan, you have I hope you don't have any other appointment just after this one. Okay, okay, okay. So how are you guys? And thank you to some of us like Pramod and Wahid and Rizwan. They have written a great review, and I'm very thankful to you. Yes, yes, yes. So Wahid's question is that for clearing doubts, can we have one more session? Yes. So see, if you have any doubts, we can extend it a bit today itself, right? And I would, what I would suggest is that as we start the project, okay, as you start the project, then actually when you will try to use this the MongoDB, you'll get many doubts. All right. Then for the next weekend we can schedule one more class on the next Saturday or Friday, whichever is good for you, and then we can have that. All right. So basically, so in case, uh, okay, so let a quick survey. How many of you want to understand MapReduce again with a different example? Okay, 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 Sanjeev, Mohan. So what I'm thinking is this. Okay, okay, okay. So Sanjeev Mohan require more knowledge on the administration part because he's into administration mainly. Okay. So let me see if I can come up with a simpler example than what we had discussed earlier, and try to explain MapReduce again from scratch. All right. So that's not a issue. Okay. So okay, okay. So okay, I understand, Sanjeev. So that means you would okay. So that means let's finish the security aspect once. All right. And then basically, actually, most of the concept, if you have got the elections properly. So Sanjeev, have you tried setting up the cluster once? Great, great. So you got the hang of the elections and you got the idea about uh, why doesn't something when it's in minority, why does it not select a primary? And in case you get stuck with a scenario where you have no primary, what should you be doing? Okay, so basically in those cases you remove members, all other members which are dead from the replica set, and then you what you do is you basically restart the reconfigure forcefully the replica set. Okay, so that's and on the performance part you basically have to analyze, you basically have to analyze the various profiling labels and various logs and system.profiling information. All right, so those are the, I mean, those are very, very important aspects of MongoDB. And on top of it, you should get familiarized yourself to a bit of JavaScript. All right. So basically, if you know JavaScript, you can control MongoDB very well from a central place. If you have hundreds of MongoDB server, you can actually write a simple script which you can execute remotely on all MongoDB instances. All right. So, and similarly, there are lots of other, you can do a lot of automation and testing using JavaScript by inserting thousands of documents into various collections and at a very rapid pace. Okay. So, and Sanjeev, it's okay to actually share it with the public. Actually, by default, this is selected like private between us. That is why people may not be getting the context what we are talking about. Okay. Okay. So basically, Sanjeev is about to start, about to support a large e-commerce based company in US on MongoDB. So, and that is the reason. So, nevertheless, in case you get stuck, I will also be able to help you. And if you require any help, some of my friends who are into the same, some of my ex students, they will also be help you. No worries, and at any end. Okay. So, n- right. Because there are some of my friends who are actually, free, fairly free, and they like to operate on MongoDB. So they might help you. I will also help you in that. Okay, great. So let's now talk about security. Okay, okay. Need to migrate DB2 to MongoDB. Okay, that's an interesting point. So So my question, Sanjeev, is that so will is there a migration from DB2 to MongoDB happening, or is there an application which is there on DB2 and is being migrated to MongoDB? So there will be twofold of jobs. Some application engineers will be moving the code, and here on this side you will have to move a lot of data from DB2 to MongoDB, right? So in that case, you need to have a detailed plan on, because generally moving the data from database one database to another database will not be that straightforward, because in DB you might have to denormalize few aspects. Okay, you might have to denormalize a lot of aspects, and that will be a little difficult because so I haven't you I mean let me also look up. There would be definitely tools people have developed all around it, because there are a lot of JDBC drivers which help you import data into MongoDB from various kinds of places. Also, to migrate data from DB2 to MongoDB, first there might have been a change of schema. So say there are two tables, and if they have to be merged into one collection, one single collection, then there you might require a bit of coding. All right. So 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 therefore we might have to look into it a bit more. Okay. Okay. So need to migrate catalog data. So let's have a look at the problem a bit more. Okay. Maybe after the session, and then see what exactly can be done. All right. So should be possible. All right. So yeah. So today we are going to talk about security. Security when we okay. Okay. What are the can somebody explain that what do we mean by security in say 4 or 5 words? What are the three things that need to be secured in any application when we talk about security? What are those things? Okay, access to the data, yes. Okay. So yes. So more or less authentication, authorization are part of the security. So people who are authorized to do certain operation, only they should be allowed to do the operation. Also, there is one more aspect of security, is that none of the third party who is not none of the third party should be able to restrict you from the availability of information. Okay, meaning none of the people should be able to stop you from access of the information in case you are allowed to do so. Okay, one such case is your one such case is your denial of service. Denial of service is also one such case, which is earlier it was not counted as a part of security, but in 2001 it was started with it was counted in the security. Earlier, as long as people who are not allowed to access a data or write data or read data, if they are not allowed, we used to say our system is secure. Our system is secure enough. Okay, and when we and after the denial of services attack, this distributed denial of service attack happened on companies like Yahoo, they realized that our job is not finished until we have secured ourselves against the denial of service also. Okay, so security also includes that you should be safe from denial of service. Okay, say there is a malware which has spread across thousands of server, and it is using thousands of servers collectively to attack your services. Okay, even though your services are not allowing this malware to do any of the read or write, but your services will get busy in responding to their login request, and hence your services will become unresponsive to your actual genuine users. Okay. That is when that aspect is also part of the security. So do not forget that part. Okay. Now here we are going to talk about two parts under security. First is authentication. Authentication ensures. So how many of you understand the difference between authentication and authorization? So what is authentication? Yes. So Wahid's answer is right. Checking user is valid or not. Thank you, Mohan. So user validation is what we call authentication. Now, Kishore, when authentic person has access, that is authorization. Okay, meaning you have put two kinds of guards in your system. One who just checks the ID card of the individual who is coming in. Other, and he tags it. The security guard on the gate tags it that this guy is authorized. Okay. Now rest of your services internal, they just see the authorized tag. And on the authorized tag, it is written that these are the things he can do. Okay. So validating the login password or validating the identity of the user is called authentication. While based on that identity, which roles are allowed to this user, this kind of validation, the validation that this person is only allowed to these roles, and they can do only these apps, is called authorization, sorry. Okay. So authorization's main role is that only the people with a certain roles can access the data, while authentication is just to figure out whether this person is what he claims to be. So security is basically authentic part of two parts: authentication, act of verifying identity, and authorization, act of verifying permissions. And MongoDB provides two main kinds of authentication mechanism. One is challenge response. Challenge response is what? Login and password. That is challenge response. And other is like certificate based. So you and the server has already did a handshake. Okay, did a handshake based on some secret sharing. Okay, that server and you share some kind of secret, and the server trusts you as in when you go to the server, you display that secret ID, and then server verifies that, oh, you is the same as what we gave you. That means you are the authenticated person. And those mechanisms are part of X.509 certificate or Kerberos. Okay, in both of these mechanisms, you do not have to type in your login and password. While in the first case, you will have to enter your login and password. All right. So these are the mechanisms which MongoDB supports for authentication. Now, authorization. Okay. Hmm. Now for authorization, it has various kinds of mechanism where you can add users into the you can add users into the I'll have to change this slide. Okay, I'll just change it later. Hmm. So in case of authorization, MongoDB provides you a way to define roles, a way to define actions, and a way to define privileges. And as part of authentication, or you what you do is you create these users. You create these users, and you so every user is a part of a database. Okay, there is no such thing as a global user. So for our database D1, there could be a user Sandeep, as well as for a database D2, there could be another user called Sandeep. So these two are actually separate identity in case of MongoDB. Okay. So all of the logic behind users and authentication, authorization is basically database based. All right. So there could be two users with the same name but different password in different databases, right? So that is what it is. We'll come back to it again very soon. So authorization helps you define who can do what, and authentication defines a method that how to ensure that a person is who he is. Okay, a person is giving his ID and confirming that this person is who he is. Okay, so that claim has to be identified through authentication. Now, when you are securing your MongoDB, you need to you need to keep a full approach in place. So this is a general practice, not specific to MongoDB. All right. So in case of any database server or any server you are maintaining, you need to take care of the basic principles of the security. Okay. Now that basic principles of security is defense in depth. Okay. And you should be defending your servers from all aspects. Okay. Then second is the data encryption, right? Then building a trusted environments amongst the MongoDB instances. After that, then you build up the processes that reduce the risk. Okay, the operational processes that reduce the risks, and then additional security strategies you need to build upon based on your domain. And at the end of it, when you're done with setting up all of the security aspect, defense in depth as in you created authentication, you created authorization, and then after that you ensured that only the users who are allowed to access the data have accessed the data. And then you put in data encryption into place. Data encryption makes sure that the database, even if it is on the disk and somebody gets access to the disk, until and unless they have provided a certain uh, authentication, they should not be able to retrieve the data from the disk. That is data encryption in case of MongoDB. So that's also possible by various mechanisms. Now in the trusted environment parts, you generally build a great trusted environments, but there you have to ensure that uh, when you are building say hundreds of servers or hundreds of MongoDB instances, there is no point in every time you connect to MongoDB, one MongoDB shard is connecting to another, then it keeps on every time authenticating itself. Instead, you build a certificate based authentication in those. Okay. And and you also put a expiry date on a certificate so that after a point in time you'll have to change this certificate at a central place, and then propagation happens all across the network. Then you will have to build operational practices to reduce risk. Okay, operational practices, what does it mean? That when you are accessing your database, I mean, I'm just taking a very, very vague example. You should be, whenever you are connecting to your network, you would not be using basically uh, non secure connections. Okay, you would not be using non secure connections. Say instead of using telnet, you should be using SSH. Instead of using XYZ mechanism, do it over the VPN. So those kind of mechanisms you will have to build in. All right, so those are very specific to your own organization. Now, vulnerability notification is a very important aspect, and probably all of us will forget this part. So, there are various kinds of vulnerability websites. For example, securityfocus.net and a lot of other websites are there which keep on publishing the vulnerabilities of various tools, various products. So generally what people do and every system administrator does is they go to these websites. Okay, they go to these websites and they basically subscribe to the particular domain which they are interested in. All right, and they keep on sending a lots and lots of emails. So this vulnerability notification is a quite popular mechanism. Those of you who are not aware of this thing, that actually any vulnerability anybody finds in any software, they generally publish to security focus, or there are various other databases also, but I have been using security focus for quite some time. Okay, I used to actually, I had reported multiple vulnerabilities in past, like LifeRay. Okay, like LifeRay I had reported once. This is what I had reported a long back, how to hack a LifeRay instances. Similarly, I have reported India Times once, and so So I had, this is the one I had reported in India Times. So most of the these bug track, right? This is from security focus, and everywhere it's quite popular. So anytime we find a vulnerability, we generally report to such portals. Okay. Does MongoDB have native encryption? Yes, it is possible to have BitLocker and other kind of mechanism to encrypt your disk. Okay. But people need use that a little rarely because that impacts your performance. Okay. So vulnerability notification is very, very important whenever you are maintaining any server, or your team is working on a server, because that's where you come to know that there is a security bug which is found in any software. And in this world, in my, because I had been doing a lot of security research in my from 2002 to 2005, when I was at DESHA, I used to audit a lot of software for them. Okay. So during that time, what we have realized was that even very, very popular softwares are prone to bugs. Okay, prone to security bugs. Even services like Yahoo and Orkut, they had bugs. I had reported for Orkut couple of times. So basically, basically every software is, I mean, prone to security bugs. Specifically, tools which are written in C++, if the authors are not very clear, are not very conversant, they leave lot of buffer overflows. So therefore, whenever you are using any tool, be it Tomcat, be it MongoDB, be it Node.js, you should keep an eye on the vulnerability notifications of those components. Okay. So other than that, so these are the general aspects of the security concepts in case of MongoDB. So we'll go one by one on this. First one is access control. Authentication. MongoDB provides user per database basis. Okay. And by default, anybody is allowed to do anything. Okay. But you can change that by changing in the configuration. All right. By changing the configuration, you can change that. If you say auth equals to true in the config file, it will start asking for login and password. All right. And if you are saying auth equals to true and you specify the key file configuration, then it would require you to present the certificate while connecting. So Mongo client itself has a way to specify your certificate, as well as using key file in MongoDB config, you can specify the certificate. So on the server side, you specify that, okay, we are securing MongoDB and this is the certificate we are securing it with. While somebody connecting to MongoDB using Mongo client, they can specify that this is our credentials. So we'll discuss in detail those parts. Now, in case of authorization, MongoDB provisions, again, authorization, authentication, both are per database basis. Okay. Except for the user administrators who we create by providing, before we enable authentication, what we do is we create a user which has user admin powers. Okay, user admin and admin any database, those two roles anybody is having, we first of all we create such kind of users, and once we do that, we log out, stop the database, change auth equals to true, and then restart it. And now you can, whenever you connect, you will have to provide the login details. But before you enable authentication, you will have to create a user which is administrator. MongoDB uses role-based approach. Like with any system, we call it RBAC, role-based access control. Like with any systems, it also provides role-based, RBAC. So, and to create users or to assign users into various roles, you need to be in the administrator roles. So every database, whether sharded or non-sharded, has a system.users collection. Okay. So this system.users collection is actually replicated across all the databases, across all the shards as is, so that whenever authentication is happening, all the users are there on all the machines. So the collection stores user credentials for authentication and user privilege information for authorization. So this is the collection. System.user is the one which contains all the information about the users. Okay. So and to modify this users dot collection database or access it, you need to be in the either of the two roles called user admin or user admin any database. No, it will get created automatically. All you will have to do is db.create database. Okay, db.create user. And db.create user and then db.add user into that particular role, and you are done. Okay. The other part is in most aspect, sharded collections security is similar to the individual MongoDB, but you need to take care of the few more aspect, because MongoDB provides you various kinds of privileges, such as who is allowed to create sharded cluster, who is allowed to shard the particular collection. Okay. Okay. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Hi. So I'm back. Sorry for that disruption. Right. So in our previous exercise, what we did was we had seen that there is something called bind IP and the port, right? So whenever we are securing any of the databases or any of the services, we have to reduce our exposure as much as we can. Okay. So therefore, most of us, I mean, when you're securing our production databases, we basically disable as much services as we can. Like, you might like to stop the HTTP interface by saying no HTTP interface equals to true, and then you might like to say REST interface equals false, and bind IP address, you can only say that it will bind to a particular IP address, so that if you are in VPN in your own private network, and if you say, if you mark the bind IP address to the one which is provided with by your internal network, then the services, the request coming from the outside on the public IP address on that machine will not be able to access it. Similarly, The ports on which your MongoDB is running, you can specify such ports which are blocked by your firewall from outside. Okay, and that will help you ensuring that your data center running is secure. That is first level of defense. And right, so in case the way I was showing you in my local database, where I was showing you that these are my HTTP interface, and which was running on yesterday, if you remember, I was showing you 28017 and it was giving you all the information that will get disabled in case you mark no HTTP interface equals to true. And these are all like with every settings, you can also specify these on command prompt at of MongoD as well as MongoS, other than specifying in the config file. Okay, and anyway, certificate validation will always be there. So for best results and to minimize overall exposure, ensure that only traffic from trusted sources can reach MongoD and MongoS instances. Okay, and the reason, I mean, how do you do this is by these mechanisms, plus setting up your firewalls accordingly to minimize the attack surface. Attack surface, when we say attack surface, it means that which ports are open, who all can access this machine, and uh, and basically what all services are running. So those are part of the attack surface. And the other part is that HTTP access or REST access is basically a double-edged sword, meaning that though it is quite useful, but when you are using it over the network, and it is if it is running on such a port which is allowed from outside, then anybody will can access it and see the complete information about your system. Okay, so we all know that it is running there. Okay, so we will okay, so we will try to set up a secure way of doing it. Okay, secure database, and we will see if we can configure a secure system. Okay, so because this is, yes, theory which is quite general. Just a second, I'm trying to see which one to start with. Okay, so I'll first of all I'll see that what is going on with my current setup. Okay, so because it is already enabled on my machine, I'll have to first clean it up and disable everything. Sure. I'll go slow. I'll go slow for this. Okay. So I went to the folder where we have kept our mongod.conf. In here we have user local etc and mongod.conf. Here rest is true. We can actually mark it. If we disable it, then it won't be okay. It will be available anywhere. Then the okay, we say it launch ctl and we say stop. Okay, or let's say let it be running. So we just saw that in our case, the authentication is not enabled. It is commented out over here. You can see the hash. That means it is commented out. Also, bind IP is localhost, which means even if I connect a dongle and make it on public IP, whenever you connect your dongle or anything, your machine gains a public IP address. If that public IP address, which is dynamically assigned to your machine, if that gets known to anybody, they can connect to your MongoDB and they can access your system. They can access your database. All right. Just to be sure, just to be very clear. So in case you have assigned by default, this is commented out, which means that your MongoDB will be bound by will have the will be listening on all the network interfaces. No matter where the request is coming from, it will accept. All right. So here I have marked it localhost so that it is only accepting the connection from the local machine. Okay, it is listening to only loopback IP address. Now let's just go into Mongo. Okay, and you can say show databases, databases, and I have got something called admin local pure profile, and yeah, so use local. Okay, we say system.indexes.drop and startup log. So we haven't created much of a, and similarly we say pure profile, and which one did I say? Okay. So similarly test and show DBs, so collections, and there is no users created over here right now. All right. So, and let's also see what else do we have. Use your cabs and so collections. Cool. So there is no users created right now. And let's try to create, first of all, let's try to create a admin user. All right. We'll create an admin user. And the way we to create an admin user is by using this mechanism. Or let's just go through this script. So first of all, let's create a user administrator. All right. So we say use admin. All right. We say use admin, and so there is a database called admin database, and then we say db.add user, and we say Narendra Mongo123. All right. So Narendra is added successfully. Now the moment, so basically, if you see what we have done just now is we have created a user Narendra with the Mongo123 as the password, and we have given it a role called user admin any database as just now told, right? So it will create a user Narendra into this role, which is this guy can create any user afterwards. All right. And also note that whenever you're logging in, you will have to use the admin database. Only then, once you have done that, only then you will be able to add any other user into any other database. Okay. Now we say db dot system.users.find to find all the users. Okay. Right now there is only one username called admin.narendra, and note that there is, I mean, in the ID of the user, the database is also included. Okay. And also you can put something like user equals Narendra, and then you can search. Sorry, we have to put like this. All right. So similarly, so basically system.users is just another collection from your perspective, and it also has the credentials of the user. All right. MongoDB credentials are these. Basically, this is your hashed password. Okay, this is a hashed password. Okay, let's just see what happens when you say echo mongo 123 and you say SHA-1. No, it's a Sasha. Yeah, it's Sasha. hmm It's some other format. It's not even SHA. So, so whenever we are storing a password, just to know, I mean, because you all are developer and administrator, you should know that whenever we are storing the credentials, we do not we do not keep the credentials in the plain text. Neither we keep them in a normal encryption. We generally keep store the password in a hashed format, which is irreversible. Okay, which means even if somebody get holds of this password, they will not be able to guess what was the actual password. Okay, because this is a checksum, or basically MD5 sum or SHA sum based on our user based on our uh, password. Okay, and therefore it is very difficult to revert back to find out what is the password, what is the actual password. So whenever you are building any system or doing anything, you make sure that you do not store any password in the plain text. Instead, use any of the checksum mechanisms. Right? So here we have got Narendra, we have created Narendra, and it has got a role called user admin any database, which means Narendra will be able to create further users. All right. Now, let's say that we want to enable the authentication now. And how do you enable authentication? We open our MongoDB.conf. Okay. We enable authentication true, and then we restart in case of okay, and let's say that let's stop it. In case of the server, we will have to use or service stop MongoDB. Okay, in case of our Linux servers, in case you are trying out on those servers. Okay, and now we are starting it. And if you see show DBs, let's see what happens. You are not authorized to do anything. Okay, not authorized on admin to execute this command. Therefore, now you will have to log in as Narendra. Okay, what is the argument for so U and P. Okay, U and P, and it is Mongo 123, and we say DB equals admin. Okay, hmm. Unknown option database. Okay, let it be. How do you? Okay, I got it. Yeah. So localhost slash admin is the way I have connected it, and now I have been able to log in. Now I am able to see the databases, right? And since my current collection is okay, okay, use admin. Okay, so admin is only allowed to create a user, all right? Now let's say we have say pure profile, okay? So on pure profile, we want to give a permission to a user. This is right? Pure profile, right? We want to give a access to a user called Alice, and password is moon123, and we say role is db admin. Okay. Now in this basically we have added user Alice to this role. Now we can basically exit it. Okay, we can basically exit it and log in using Alice. Okay, now let's say and database is pure profile. Okay, now since we are using pure profile, then you are able to access it. Okay, db.helloworld.find, right? Now we are able to use it. So similar way you will be defining here. We have just given the read write permission to this role. Okay, and also we are allowing Alice to do the db admin role, db admin as well as read write on this particular pure profile. In our case, we are allowing user called Alice to do all of this. Similarly, we can add a user called Bob on the same database and say that that user is a user admin. So this user database will be able to add only in this database, not in any other database. So you can create administrator only for one database or for any database. Here we had created Narendra to do user admin of any database. So user source is the database on which we are giving the permission. Here we are saying allow this Bob to become the user admin of products. All right. This is how you create an administrator for a particular database. Okay. Now let's go back to Narendra. Here is the Narendra, and now we are in admin database anyway. Okay, so we don't have to do any of this. We are adding a user called Bob with the just a second, this is wrong. Let me just do it here. Okay, we are saying pure profile is our database, and this is user source. Okay, user source is not a valid argument for. Mm, I think they have changed it. Okay, okay. Let me just try a couple of random stuff. Okay, so create user. I think Actually, add user had just got become obsolete, and instead they are using create user nowadays. And okay, right. So what we can do is we can do this like this one. All right, like this one we'll do. So we're saying db.createUser, and here brackets is started, and username is our Bob. Okay, password is say XYZ, all right, or say Mongo123. Custom data and information, we don't want this. All we want is that we want this particular user to become the user admin of pure profile. All right, we want it to that way. All right, so we have finished roles, our array is finished, and then this is done. All right, let's try doing that now. I hope. Okay, now we have added this particular user called Bon. Bon can add more users into pure profile, right? And Bon's password is Mongo123. All right, it was supposed to be Bob. Never mind. Uh, Am I doing something wrong? Okay, okay. So we have created Bon, which can also create users. Okay, right. So, or we can say use admin, and then in the similar way, the way we created a user earlier, okay, the way we created a user earlier, okay, let's just stick to, so we created Bon instead of Bob, and okay, and so this way we can give the permission to a user to add further users once we have created our main db any database. And also, right, and also on the same lines we can have this on the similar lines we can add more users with various kinds of permissions, like various kinds of roles, like cluster admins. Okay, cluster admins, or what is add user is obsolete. Yeah, add user is obsolete. Instead use create user. Okay, use create user. All right. Yeah, here I have only done create user. Okay. So other than that, when you are adding a user, say reporting role, all right, say reporting role, there is a person who you want to give access to only for the reporting on your database, then in those cases you create a role. First you create a role called reporting role, and we define what are the resource. Whenever you're defining a role, you define resource and the actions it can take. All right, it can, what actions can it take on what resource is what is a role, and then you add people into a role. Okay, so here we are saying, we are first defining a role called db.create role. Okay, and also while defining here, like, it can also, a role which we are creating a role, it can inherit other roles. Okay, it can inherit other roles. So whenever we are defining this, create role is quite a useful and powerful mechanism where we can pick and choose which particular privileges are we giving it to one user. And also we can also say that my role is a composition of other permissions as well. Okay, and here all these permissions are allow permission. There is no such thing called deny permission. By default everything is denied. We are giving one permissions to this user. All right, so we create a reporting role which can access cluster. Cluster equals to true and action equals to add shard. So it can add the shard on the cluster, this particular role. Similarly, we can create a, create a find, update and insert on a database called config. While on a database called user, we can say that it can only update. All right, it can only update. Also also we can mark a particular collection in the database saying this person should be only allowed to update that collection in that database. So it is very flexible and it is up to you how you compose all your roles. So the general strategy is, you first figure out what are the basic roles you are trying to do. Out of all the roles, you try to figure out what is your common denominator. Okay, what is the common across all your roles you are trying to create. And for that particular role, you first create that role, and now you keep on creating other roles by inheriting that role and giving extra permissions. Okay, sure, I'll be sharing these both the documents. Use the second one is updated, more updated. Okay, and the first one I think I'll deprecate because that one is for the older version of MongoDB. Okay, so you first create a role, right? Here, this is the name of the fresh role you are creating, and then you define in detail what are the resources you are giving the permission on. But now imagine that you are trying to create 50 roles, right? Or you're trying to create, say, even simpler, like 5 roles, and all of these 5 roles will have a repeated again and again the same thing. So you will take the common things, create a separate role, and then use that role here. Okay, all right, and also make sure that right concern is majority. Okay, so that it is written to majority before anything fails. Remember our major reason for saving something for the majority. Now once you have created a role, next step is to basically granting this role to various users. Now we are granting this role, in our case, to a particular user, and also define more roles to it. Okay, so we are saying that grant guest these roles. First is this role, second is this role, and third is this role, and each one has a role name as well as the database name. Role name, database name, role name, database name. Okay, so that is how you define, that is how you grant people the roles. Okay, here to guest we gave the roles called read write on the admin. To the guest one we gave the writes to reporting role. All right, reporting role. And that is how you keep giving the permissions to all these users in your system. All right, does it make sense to everybody? Okay, so when you're planning, just make sure that first, before just jumping, so before you start creating all sorts of roles, first you need to decide which role will be doing what, and then you figure out what is the common denominator of all, and then first create that role. Okay, and then you keep on inheriting that role and keep on creating other roles and assigning those roles, granting those roles to various people. Okay, so okay, Wahid is asking to explain again. Let me again explain. Okay, so first you have got a user has got permission to do some things. Okay, and what are those some things that need to be defined by you as an administrator? Okay, so first thing first, you first decide what is it that you are allowing this user for to do. Okay, if you do not require any special privileges to the user, you just want to make all of the people as admin, the life is great. But in case you want to give them a lot of permission and you have a requirement of adding frequently adding every weekly once or every weekly twice, you have got a reporting user, people who want access to the reports, access to a particular collection which contains the data of the reports, and this becomes a very common phenomena. Then you would prefer to create a separate role which contains all these permissions you are trying to give, a very granular level of permission, right? So first you create user, set its password, be happy. Now you have created the user, now you are trying to give the permissions to this user by create, either you can give the permission by just granting existing roles to a user, read write the way we have given here, read write, let this guy read write everything, right? Instead, you might like to give more granular level of permissions the way we have done. In those cases, first create a separate role like this. Okay, and this while creating a role, you what you a role is comprised of privileges. Okay, role is comprised of privileges and other roles. A role is a composition of privileges and other roles. Okay, now what is privileges? Privileges has two parts. Each privilege is upon a particular resource. Okay, a list of who can do what. All right, a list of what can be done on what. Okay, like on the resource cluster, allow this user to add shard. On the resource config, allow this user to do find, update, and delete. Uh, on the resource users, allow this user to do all of this. Okay, so we are creating a role by giving a lot of privileges, and optionally we can give roles also, other roles, so that we have created a fresh role for our own kind of requirement, so that we don't have to keep on adding these roles again and again. Okay, and there are chances of making a mistake, also the chances of making a mistake goes down. It gives you a finer level of control. This is how you define your custom role. All right, and once you have defined your custom role, then you can grant the roles to the user. Okay, so here this way we created a role first, and then now we created a role, and then we granted a role to a particular user. And while granting roles to the user, we can say that give guest this role on this database, this role on this database, this role on this database. Okay, And here we are saying, because this person is report admin, we are allowing him to read any database, okay, and reporting role on our DB admin, which we have just created. Okay, Wahid, is that clear now? Okay. Now, in case you are given, you want to find out what permissions are given to what role, you use this command. Okay. Now we want to say what all privileges are there in. Okay, we have not created any roles per se. Okay, so let's say we are creating a role, use admin, not authorized on admin to create a role. Okay, I am logged in as Bon. That is why it gave me an error that you cannot create a role, although you can create a user. Right? Therefore, okay, I think, okay, if I do the same thing on pure profile, maybe I can do no. Now let us just, yeah, Narendra is the guy, go to guy. It is done now. Okay. So now the role is created. All right. Now the role is created. Let's see what is there in show collections. Oh, it doesn't allow me. Strange. Use admin. Okay. So now if you have to find out and to grant a user a particular role, what you can do is this. But in this case, we don't have a guest. Okay. Therefore, we'll have to add it this to make it bound, right? So yeah, so now it is added. This particular bound has got a permission to read any database. Okay, now the thing I wanted to show it to you is find out what does a role do. Okay, what does a role do? To do that, you can use this. So basically what I have done just now is db.get role, and I have given the name of the role and said so privilege is equals to true. It will give me the details of a role. What does it do? And here are the roles. It says these are the inherited role. This is an inherited role. This is an inherited role. And these are the privileges. Okay, here we go. So it shows you all the things this particular user can do. Okay, cool, cool. So similarly, we can also, if you want to find out, okay, let me just check. There should be get user. I think there should be a get user. So get user, say Narendra. Okay, right. So it shows us in the details like what does this user do. Okay, and I forgot to tell you this trick. For any function, if you don't give the arguments, right? If you don't put this outside, it shows you what is the code inside that function, and from that you can quickly figure out what is the arguments to that function. Okay, so you can say, similarly you can say show privileges equals to true. So privileges privileges equals to true. What did I do? Privileges, privi, that's what I did earlier, equals to true, right? So for each user also, you, if you want to see what all is this user allowed to do, they can use this to find out what this user can do. Okay, sounds good to you? And now, right? So this is one way, this is one good way of providing authentication and various mechanisms onto a database, right? So and in case you want to change the authentication mechanism later point of time, you can change it. Okay, right now we have just created the user, giving them permission, created a fresh role and given all the roles to this user, and then then we have basically tried login from all of these users. So this basically, help you figure out what each role can do and what each user can do. Okay, so here you can do this and get user Narendra, and that's it. Right, see, now we can similarly get, we can say get roles. So these are the main roles which we have created. One is a reporting role. All right, this should be good enough for you. Does it make sense to you? Okay, so the other aspect is that you can create, instead of using adding user this way, we can also secure our servers by using a key. All right, and to use that, what you can do is between various MongoDB servers, once you are done with this, right? So now what you have done just now is that you have created users. Now people can log in into this and start using it. But if you are having a sharded cluster, you will have to build a trust amongst those servers. Okay, you'll have to build trust amongst those servers. How do you do that? By creating the secure key. Okay, by creating a secure key. So everywhere, every MongoD for every MongoD, you will have to give this PEM file while starting. Okay. So as a starting point, so now we have gone through assigning privileges, everything is fine, working fine. But the moment you create this kind of authentication mechanism, okay, the moment you enable auth equals to true on all your machines in a cluster, now they will not be able to communicate to each other, they will keep on giving error. So before enabling auth equals to true, you might also like to create the secure key. Okay, which it's like a secret which is being shared by all the computers in a network, such that they know that they are part of the network, so they will not ask each other the login password. Okay, and hence the whole sharding and everything, where the request is routed from the Mongo S to Mongo Ds, it will not create any problems to each other. If the user has connected to Mongo S and he has authorized himself with certain username, he should be able to easily request anything, any data from the any node. But how do you make this possible? First of all, on your console, you will create a key file. Okay, so here I'm creating a key file. So I must have something called a MongoDB CERT. Okay, so it has created that MongoDB CERT key. It has created that file. All right. It is already there. So it has created that file. So I say that OpenSSL and I'm saying X509, that one. And then once we do finish that, we take key as well as certificate and concatenate that and create something called PEM file. Okay, now we have got MongoDB.pem file. MongoDB.pem file. Alright, so this is my private key and this is my certificate. So I have created a certificate plus private key using this command. Now basically this becomes my gateway to the whole system. Okay. Now whenever I am starting up my MongoDB anywhere, if you remember, we were doing all sorts of passing out the keys. In those cases, what you'll have to do is take this MongoDB.pem file, copy it to all the MongoDB servers which you have, and make sure that this certificate has only minimal amount of permissions. Okay, there's a minimal amount of permissions. It should not be that it has 777. Otherwise, MongoDB will not accept this. Okay, so this is the one. So once we have created this key, you will copy it onto all the servers which are there onto on the on your basically you'll have to copy this to all the machines, and then you have to specify that in the location of that one in your config file. All right, this is the way you specify the location in the command prompt. Okay. All right, so I'll show you the way I have done on our servers. If you remember, we have a not this one. Okay, so on the servers, if you see, okay, if you see, we have mentioned this location. Okay, all right. So this is the key where which we have created. The way we have just created, we mentioned this key file on all the machines, and we copy this file. We have copied exactly the same file on all the machines across the network. All right, we've copied this file. If you see still, and also make sure that this does not have much permissions. Otherwise, keep on looking at the MongoDB log, so that in case there is an error, it is appended in the log saying that your file is having too much of permission, therefore not starting your MongoDB. Okay, so once you have created your certificate using these steps, you can specify your this file in the config. I mean, in your configuration, MongoS or MongoD.conf, or you can specify that on the command prompt while starting your MongoD. Okay, Sanjeev, is it clear to you? Because you might will need it. So basically, it's a standard way of establishing a trust by having the same certificate copied all over the network, on all the machines, and then specifying that location to the MongoDB. Okay. So while you are configuring, make sure this file has the minimal amount of permission, and whatever whatever user is running your MongoDB, whatever user is running the MongoDB, only that user is supposed to have the permission on this particular file. It should not be in 755. Okay, it should not be in 755. Otherwise, MongoDB will not launch. Okay, MongoDB will not start. Now, if you see, it has only read write permission to the owner, and everything is 0. Okay, so can I 755 in case of Unix is 7 means read write everything, read write execute. 5 means don't allow writing to the. So these are three parts. First is 7 means owner, what owner can do. Owner can do 7. Okay, 7 means read write and execute. Okay, 1 plus 2 plus 4. Okay, then 5 means 1 plus 4, not 2. 2 means writing. Okay, so in the Unix it's a 7 equals 1 plus 2 plus 4. So either I can say, see, give the permission to the user to write, user to execute. Okay, owner actually, no, sorry, user. So basically there are three set of permissions. One set of permission is, first set is to the owners. Okay, sorry, the users, then group, and the others. All right, so in Unix this is what is the pattern. Okay, so if I say 755, so I have given users as 7, group as 5, group as 5, and others as 5, which means, and each number means, this means read, this means write, and this means execute. Okay, so it means that users can write this file. User as in the person who created this file can write to it. And and if I say 5 means read plus execute, not write. So group members, the people in the same group, will be able to read and execute. Others, if I say others can also do the same thing, read and execute. Therefore, always keep these at 0. Okay, so you always do, in case of if you see this file here, this is basically, when we say rwx, it is basically nobody else can access other than the root, right? So we say chmod 7700, and we give the file name. All right, so in case you are not very exposed to Unix, at least understand the permissioning system. It is very, very useful, and whenever you are managing any servers or any kind of backends, this will help you immensely. Also, most of the systems seem to inherit the permissioning system from Unix. Okay, so it will help you a lot. Even in case of, say, Hadoop and etc. and all the family, they all use the same mechanism as Unix. Okay, so any questions? Sanjeev? Okay, great. So so that fairly completes our user administration. So we should take a 10 minutes break, and then we start the discussion again. Okay, let's come back at 3:18. Okay, Sure, sure. I will definitely share it. It's anyway, I mean, just after this class, I'll be sharing it. I just fingers crossed that the screen sharing stays intact this time, screen recording. Okay. So let's meet in 10 minutes. Hey guys, I'm back. I'm took little more time than usual. Are you guys back? Is everybody back? Great, great. So that's pretty much with respect to the security aspect of MongoDB. Okay. Now, what I want to show you is a bit uh, about how to, and also I would like to just disable MongoDB for now. Right? So the next step which we want to do is we want to see how we can access MongoDB using our Java program. So who all are familiar with Java out of you? Okay, okay. So never mind. So those people who are from .NET background, the Java is similar, very very similar to C Sharp. Okay, I have done a lot of C Sharp and then moved to Java and back to C Sharp. So it's not much of a difference. Almost all the terminologies are identical to C Sharp. So nothing to worry. Similarly, we will not go deep into any of the Java concepts. We will just give a demonstration on how you can connect using MongoDB. Okay. And also, there is one aspect I have completely forgotten, which is Mongo files. Okay. All right. Let me just close this, close this, and let's go back to. So this is not the one. Not this one. Okay. So okay. So I'm actually hunting for the project uh, which contains all the information. This is the one, right? So I'll just update here also because this URL is wrong. Good. Now, so basically this is the project. You can download this project and we can download it, right? And here we have got a lot going on. So this is fine. Not this one. Yeah, this is the one. Mm-hmm. Never mind. I'll just change it. Okay. So I have downloaded my. If you guys have Eclipse by any chance, so all you have to do is just download this Java hands-on.zip, and inside that you will find a folder called Mongo. Okay, and that you can actually import into your Eclipse. I mean, the mechanism for mechanism for C sharp will be similar, but if you wish, we can give a demonstration also, or one of you can actually try it out. It's not that big a deal. Okay, and basically, what I'm trying to demonstrate is that any of the things which we are doing here can be very well done using a programming language by accessing that from here. Okay, and here you go. This is a library. Okay, so here open it, build path, add to the build path. Now basically this MongoDB.jar is the driver, similar to what you have DLL in case of C sharp, and you have got this one similar to the any other programming language. You have got main as the entry point. Whenever you execute anything, the main gets executed, and this is all commented out from here to here. So first of all, this is a long scary way of creating these classes. So what you do is, first of all, create something called options. It's like creating the settings first, and after creating the settings, these are the default way of creating settings. What you do is you specify it is again hanging. Why? Okay, now we have got this. Let me just close this, and okay. So this is what creating the settings is. It's nothing but is a default way. Then you create an instance of the client, okay, client library, which is saying create an instance of the client MongoDB client equals no new Mongo client, and then you specify which host do you want to connect. Ideally, this host is supposed to be your Mongo S, which will keep on doing magic for you. Okay, if you do not have set up a Mongo S properly, what you can do is you can add more, you know, add an array list of all the nodes, just the way it is here. So in this, what he has done is created a list of all the servers and then added it here. So here you can pass as an array also, like a comma b comma c comma d, and so on, right? So that's also very easy to do. And the third one is to, once you have created a Mongo client, what you can do is you can say Mongo client.getDB. It's like saying so DB this one, okay, or get DBs, okay, okay. So similar to here, get DB, you have get database names. Get database name is equal to show DBs and so on, right? Here you will get the database. Once you get the database, then you can ask MongoDB, give us the collection in this database, okay, or give us collections in the form of strings, okay. Give the collection names in the form of set of strings, okay. This will give you the names of collections, or you can get the object of collection by specifying the name. Once you do that, Then you have got a handle to the collection, and on each collection you can say collection dot find or collection dot whatever you wish to do, and then you can execute that. Okay. Similarly, to find, you can pass a JSON object. A JSON object is in the form of DB object here. You you create a DB object first, and then you use the collection dot find, and that will do the trick for you. Okay. So that's pretty much with respect to Java. And so here, let's see something happens or not. Let's see how many errors we get. As it's saying, not this. Let's just go to the command prompt, not this, this one. Okay, let's hide this, hide this. Yes, yes, we have the same thing for MongoDB. MongoDB for C Sharp. Okay, so there here you can get the driver for C Sharp. All right, here you also have a tutorial similar to what I'm describing over here. You can check out the tutorial from GitHub. Not this one. There. So here from there you can check out the driver, or one second. I think this will be a better idea to actually browse. I have not yet gone through this code, but I can help you explain if I do. Where is this? This one, not serialization. Tutorial. There must be a driver somewhere. Okay. So this is the driver you can download from it. So you'll have to download from the installer probably. Okay, not the installer. SRC tools. There is a download one. Yeah, from here you can actually C sharp and download. Yeah, get started with C sharp driver. From here you have basically a releases folder which we are missing. From the releases you can download the latest one. All right, an online version of release is available here, and a full is available here. Get the changes, and then you can basically download as a zip here. Okay, you can download as zip. Right, so 1.9.3 dot zip is available over there, and in this you can see and in similar to what we have in Java, you have new client equals Mongo client. Okay, the way we were just doing it. Okay, and then you have yeah. So basically, I will just type it out. Okay, so right, so we create a Mongo client, we create a server, and we create an instance of the data, get the instance of the database. Okay, and then collection, and then we can keep on saying collection dot insert bson document is this. Okay, and then you can say for each where document in collection do this. So it's as simple as that. All right, and in case you have a you have created a class which represent exactly a document in your object. Say you have created a person object and there is a person collection over there, right? So all you can do is you can say collection dot insert and say new person and name equals Jack. Okay, so this will create an object of person, as well as it will create, add that into collection. Okay, so this is a good way to find out. So basically, if you have already say objects, lot of objects which you want to insert into database, rather than going over RDBMS layer, you can start using collection.insert directly on your all objects, and which is very very simplified and straight away. Okay, and here what you can do is you can say database.getCollection, whatever object you are expecting over in that in that particular collection, you can specify the template name, and you will get a collection with containing objects of the person. So when you say collection.insert, here you are supposed to provide the person object. All right, so that is how it works. So it becomes very very simplified and straightforward, and the same case is in Java. Okay, so instead of inserting the JSON document by creating new BSON document and key and value, and then keep on creating that recursively, instead of that, if you have already objects corresponding to your collection members, then it becomes very simple. So this driver has got downloaded, and you can see that the driver has got various DLLs. Okay, you include this one is the DLL. Okay, you can include that in your project, and then you can start working. Same is true with the Java people. Okay, so that's all. You can go through, basically you can go through, uh, I will just put it here. So for C sharp you should have a look at this one. Okay, driver.net is here, and since the driver is in .NET, which means it is available for all the other releases also. Okay, meaning that VB.NET, everything you can access .NET from. All right, does it make sense to you? Great, great. Sanjeev, is that okay with you? Because you are the only one probably with the non-.NET background. Great. So that is quite straightforward. Now there is a concept called Mongo files. This is a portion which I have not touched yet. Probably I touched once. So who all understand what is Mongo files? Okay, let me just disable my mongo.conf. So who all understand what is our Mongo files? How many of you understand? Okay, all right. So great. So now basically MongoDB has provided a good client called Mongo files. All right. What Mongo files does for you is it helps you store very big binary files. If you remember that we were talking about that each document in a collection can be only of 64 MB, and this size, that size, if you remember that. So which means that if we are storing a big file, we cannot store it just like that, right? Also, if we are storing big file, we would like to have a better backup, and we would like to have a redundancy also, so that when people are asking for retrieving the file, then you basically get the multiple server to serve a file. Say for example you are building a YouTube like video service. All right, so you are planning to build a YouTube like video service where you are dumping lots of big videos into MongoDB. How would you build such kind of system? So idea is that you create a small 64 MB each document out of a video. Okay, out of a video you create a small chunk, and out of each chunk you create documents, bsn documents, and put it into MongoDB. Okay, and w- whenever the user is asking for the full file, just give him the full file after combining all of these portions. And for combining you will basically require that while you are adding a video and you have split the video into portions, you would want to keep a record of which portion contains what, from which byte to which byte is in which document. All right, so this facility of splitting a file into portions and then joining it back and giving it to you in full, or letting you jump at a particular portion of the file, is provided by the MongoDB in the form of Mongo files. Mongo files is basically a client to the MongoDB. Okay, so now we have got Mongo files. So let's look at the Mongo files list of files. So there are no files at all. Okay, now say let's just take a case of my CD documents and recordings. And here I have got a movie, which is how much size? Big data, this one. Okay, this is 370 MB file. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Mongo files to put big data file into the database. Okay. Now Mongo files is going to put this into MongoDB. I said put and my file name. That's it. So it's copying it into MongoDB. I'm not sure how much time it is going to take because it's around 400 MB. All right. I'm hoping that it'll finish in a minute or so. Now it has created this, right? It has created this, and you can see that it has given us an object ID for each for this file. Okay. So let's say we go into Mongo and see what has actually happened. Okay. So So it has created in test, use test, and show DB. So collections. Okay. Yeah. So by default, since our database was test, it has added into test two two collections. One is fs.chunks, other is fs.files. Okay. Now if you see db.fs.files, and then you say pretty, now find and pretty. Now what do you get out of it? Okay, you got that you have got one file name, chunk size is this much, its checksum is this much, uploaded date is this much, and length is this much. All right, so it kept a record of what file we uploaded. Similarly, we have got something called chunks dot find. Now the chunks is interesting aspect. I'm sorry, it is going to bother a lot. Chunks. What can I do about chunks? fs dot chunks and find one. Okay, find one will be still pretty big, but don't bother. Still huge. So it has converted this binary file into the bson document and stored it here. Okay, how can I find, and then I say, okay. So it has created a lot of files. You can see around how many files it has created, how many objects it has created. So 1044 the objects it has created out of our video. Okay, it has created because it has how many, around 500 370 MB file divided by 1024, not 370 divided by some 32 MB. So okay, it has created more than that. Okay, so basically it has created a lot of file, basically chunks, small pieces. These each small piece is basically a chunk. Okay, this one is basically a mm, object. All right, so let's just go to, I'll just try to show you some interesting thing if I can. Hmm. So let me just see, count, find, and I say 1487. Right, so I'm hoping that this will be little smaller than the rest. It's still too big for me for figuring out that what all columns it has. Okay, what I can do is I can do this. Okay, 1487, and I can assign it to an object. Okay, now we have got an object, and we can say for I in object. Okay, and then we say print I. So basically it has got three columns. This is the beauty of JavaScript. So I just iterated over the keys of the particular object. It has got something called file ID and then n and the data, right? Now I can basically say this. Okay, and I'll say that ID equals 1, files ID equals 1, and n equals 1. Now it has not given me the data. All right, it has only given me those details, right? So this means there are so many files created. Basically it created two collections, one containing the names of files, what all files are have been added, and for each file what are the chunks that have been added. Okay, so once you know the file ID, right, once you know the file ID from the files, you can query this table, this collection using that one. Okay, you notice that everywhere the file ID is same, which means it's the same file ID all across, right? Now the question is that how do I get the portion, right? So I can say get over here, all right, and it will get downloaded. Let me just go to some other folder. Okay, make a folder, make a directory called tmp, and say mongo files, and then get whatever it was. I'll just, instead of put, I will just say, first of all, I'll say list. What are the files that it has? Okay. And I will say get and the name of the file. Okay, so it has started downloading it. All right, so it's a straightforward, it is behaving like a FTP for you. It has basically, don't tell me it has corrupted my data. I hope it has not corrupted. I think it has corrupted. It has corrupted my data. Okay, never mind. So we'll see if it has corrupted or not. It has probably overwritten my local file, which was original file. And let's see what happens in this case. It's 370 MB. I'm hoping nothing has been done. Okay. So it downloaded and put it in my local file, local drive back. All right. Now the beauty of Mongo files is that basically it did a lot of job for you. Okay. Okay. It did a lot of job. It made your life a lot easier. And I'm trying to actually see that. So now once you have put the whole entire file, you can actually go into your collection, and whatever portion you want to read, you can read from here and then convert that back into binary and then start streaming it. Okay. Okay. So let me see if it does provide you some other things. Search is okay. We all know that search is there. All right. So Mongo files help you handling this slicing of the big files and create putting them into the database. Okay. But when you are building such a solution, instead of using Mongo files, you might end up creating your own client, which will be putting and slicing data in your own in your style, parallel to what Mongo files has been doing. Or let Mongo files do lot of command line operation for you, and you just start reading this data directly from the documents. Okay, so that's pretty much. And also Mongo files provides you an I mean, you can see that there is an API which does what Mongo files do. Okay, say Mongo files Java. Okay, in case of Java, we call it, basically the name is gridfs. Okay, and here as you can see that basically you can get each portion of the file, read the stream, write the stream, and all that sort of thing. Each small piece you can read. Okay, so that's pretty much about the Mongo files. So Mongo files is basically a utility to you which creates lot of collection out of a big file and puts it in the MongoDB. Instead of you devising a technique to divide it and split all the big file and put it after converting, it does it for you. Okay, right? So basically, when it happens, like you always retrieve the video in chunks the way YouTube does. It retrieves video in chunk and give it to the user. Okay, you never retrieve the whole video in first shot and give it to the user, so that the user does not have to wait a lot. Also, your server will be able to handle the lot of load because of this. All right. So that's pretty much about Mongo files. So we discussed about how to access using API access. Okay. And we also discussed about security and demonstrated. Now I want to discuss the project now. Do you have any questions before discussing the project? So the project will go on for a week, okay, from 7 days from now. You should form groups of two, all of you should form groups of 2 or 3 as per your convenience, and let me know who all are part of that group, okay, and accordingly I will review it. Now idea is to build a Twitter like service, okay. The only difference is the Twitter with location. When the user is tweeting, the location goes with it, and when another user logs in, or when a user logs in, it sees that all the tweets around his location. Okay, this is what in very simple words you have to build. Okay, so first is you let me know about your team formation, who all are in our single team. Okay, and for this project, and also keep discussing about your design aspect, and you build these uh, basically this is the whole idea you need to build. Okay, and go through this. In case there are any doubts, let me know. All right, the service lets people quack. Instead of tweeting, we are saying quack. Okay, so I mean, similar to Twitter, you have to build a quacker which basically takes care of the locations itself. This is a very good application for people who are trying to buy and sell. Say for example, somebody in your vicinity is selling a fridge. Even if you don't need a fridge immediately, but he's selling in your vicinity, you might want to buy. And that is the power of location. Okay, so to and similarly, say, yeah, I mean, you can do a lot of buy and selling using local. And imagine there are millions or billions of people around the world using your services for their buy and sell in their location, and there are hundreds of use cases other than the buy and sell. So if you have to build such kind of system, in this system the most important aspect is going to be load handling. The UI is very simple. Okay, UI is very simple, API is going to be very very simple, but you need to handle the things on the database level very cleverly. Second constraint and second difficulty that arises in this game is how do you find people near a location. Okay, so this is a 1 week's project. So please let me know about your group formation. And Sanjeev, do you you also want to couple with somebody, right? So I will talk to so anybody who is having 2 members in his group can also include Sanjeev Mohan, if he has time. Sanjeev, do you have time for this? Hmm. So you guys discuss and let me know how you are planning. Okay, I'll prefer group of three, and then let's each of us build their own versions in detail. How do we go about it? All right, so let me know. So if anybody wants to include Sanjeev Mohan, so Pramod, when you are doing the planning, right, whosoever is taking that initiative, discussing amongst you, so include Sanjeev Mohan, and let me know, because you guys are together, so you can plan a little more better. And then I'll connect all of you together. I'll connect Sanjeev Mohan to the team, whosoever is in the team. And also we have a Google Plus group where you can discuss your questions. Okay, there are all my ex students also who can help you, and I will immediately respond to anything. Okay. So that's pretty much with respect to project. And my question is that those who any front end, it is up to you, completely up to you. Even a simple, very simple and rudimentary front end will do for me. Okay, very rudimentary will do for me. Even if it's a command line which basically shows that when a user logs in, it asks for these API. I mean, basically, this is very simple functions I'm asking. Okay, so that give me a function in this format, give me a function in this format, or similarly, you can give me an API also in this format. Okay, you can create these three, URLs in which if I pass these parameters, it should give me a list of things. That also you can do. Okay. All right. And from tomorrow evening onwards, the cluster will be reconfigured in the previous format. Okay. And so all those who have not finished their cluster setup, finish it fast. Okay. Not tomorrow, day after tomorrow evening, Monday evening. Okay. Everything, I mean, we will be reclustering things, and some of the servers will be, you know, uh, detached from the node, and will increase the capacity of some of them. What kind of error are you getting, Pramod? Just send me a screenshot and also the attach the mongodb.log. Okay, let me have a look at it. Also, I will also take a look at the log. Right? I'll also take a look at the log. Great, then it was a very. You are not able to see what? Wahid? You are not. So, okay. Okay. Second chart. So what happens, Wahid, is that you keep on adding lot of data. And when you say sh.status, what does it say? Does it say that there are two shards? Did you shard your database? Did you shard your collection? And then did you add enough data? Oh, interesting. Then add some more and let's see. No, but okay. So did you shard your collection? That's my question. Oh, interesting. Let me try to do that. If you just show me your steps, I will see. Okay? Try it again, just make a record and then let me have a look quickly. And probably I'm very sure you must have either missed out sharding a collection, sharding a database, or um, setting up the shard properly. Okay? So that's pretty much from my side. So feel free to connect, and those people who want to understand more about map and reduce, so all of you plan either a weekday, maybe Tuesday, this Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, and let me know your time when when do you want this session, except for this Sunday, because tomorrow, after tomorrow, anytime you can plan up to the Saturday. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Okay, then we can have the discussion on MapReduce, because some of us have not been, have not been able to want more details on the MapReduce. Okay, so let me know. You guys discuss two things. First is team formations. Second, I want you to tell me about the details on what time do you want the MapReduce discussions. Okay. Pramod, Wahid, and everybody else sounds okay to you? Because most of us have need more clarity on MapReduce. So I'll take fresh examples and then try to explain it, because that's an important aspect. And the more you actually you once I would also want you guys to go through the videos which we had recorded on MapReduce. I think that video is there, right? That is not deleted. I think that is there. Only the cluster ones have got. Okay. So go through that video, and also so that we have the more context, and then we discuss it more. Okay. So plan out a time, maybe on Monday or Tuesday, and then we discuss. Okay. And drop me an email. One of you take the initiative to drop the email. Sanjeev, do you also want to attend the MapReduce extra session? So all of you stay in touch. In case you have a problem, let me know. And it was a very, very great class. Okay. Sure, Sanjeev. I'll let you know the timings. And it has been a very wonderful class. All of you have done a great, I mean, you have finished your assignments very well. And after you finish your project, within a week from the day you submit your project, we will be basically so this Monday and next Monday is your submission of the project. Okay, this Monday you close all your cluster setup and everything, and give me the details about your team formation, and if you want a MapReduce class extra. And then on the next Monday you submit your project. Okay. So so thank you guys, thank you. And who will be taking the responsibility of forming the teams? And Umang is here. Okay, Pramod will do. Great. So Pramod, you will stay in touch, and all of you, in case you have a problem, just let me know with the screenshots. Okay, screenshots, or point me to the log file. That'll be good enough. Okay. Thank you very much. And it was a very great session. And bye bye. Oh, it's only 4:14 yet. Okay. So it's only 4:14. I think next 20 minutes will be sufficient for MapReduce, I think. Okay. Mm, okay. 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 Okay, then let's have a discussion on Monday, Tuesday. You guys also get a time to think about it, and I will also be not be hurrying into things. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you, Aid. We'll have more discussions. And Sanjeev, stay in touch. In case you have a problem, I can help you out, or one of my ex-students can help you out. In case most of them, some of them are having, free time. All right. So I'll let you know. And thank you very much. I'll hang up now. Okay. Bye bye, guys. And those who have not I mean, if those who have liked my class, please feel free to write the review on our Facebook review page. You must have got my email. And some of you have really done a great job. I mean, I'm very thankful to you guys. And yeah, please write a review, good or bad. Bye bye, thank you very much. Bye bye, guys. Bye bye, bye Pramod, bye Rizwan, bye Deepthi, bye Sanjeev, bye Kishore, bye Regita, bye Rizwan, bye Sanjeev, bye Wahid, and Thank you to Kishore, you too. It was a great session. I thoroughly enjoyed your questions. Bye bye, guys. I'll just hang up now.